Hello and welcome. We've had chickens on the property for more than 16 years. And for all of those years, we've been getting up in the morning to let the chickens out of their coop and going out before bed to close their door and keep them safe. Well, we're finally getting an automatic door for the coop. In this video, I'll show you how I installed the automatic door. And we can do a brief tour of the coop and all the recent upgrades. I think we've officially added just about everything that can be added to a coop. Our chickens are pretty spoiled. I bought an all-in-one kit from Amazon. I'll leave a link in the comment section below. This kit comes with almost everything you need to install the door. When it comes time to install the rails, I want to make sure they're the same distance apart at the top and the bottom. And rather than trying to fiddle around with the tape measure in the rails while trying to attach everything to the coop, I thought I'd make a template so I could just set it in place and attach the rails. I started by measuring the door. It's 9 inches wide and it'll need to rest within the slots of these rails. But I don't want it to be too tight of a fit. I need to leave a little wiggle room so it won't bind when raised or lowered. I decided that the door should sit about halfway through the available space in these rails. So I cut out some scrap to make my template. Then used a positioning square and some clamps to hold it square while I pre-drilled some holes and attached it together with some screws. Now I can use this when it's time to attach the rails to the coop. But these rails don't have any holes drilled in them. But it is aluminum, and my regular bits work just fine for drilling holes in aluminum. I just use a punch to get the hole started and then drill through, using the scrap wood template I made as backing so I won't drill into my table. I also had to drill a hole in the door for a place to attach the string that's used to raise and lower the door. The current door already has some trim around it, but that's not going to work for this door, since the new door is not quite as wide as the old door. I cut some new trim from the scraps that I've been pulling off the barn wall as I insulate the new shop space. These trim boards are much wider than the previous ones, and I need them to be so that I have something to mount the rails to. I have everything ready to install, so I take it all out to the coop and get started. First I need to pull off the old trim boards around the door. The sides and the top I can just pull off, but the bottom trim will need to be cut back a bit for the new stuff to fit in. I use the Japanese pull saw for that. It makes a nice clean cut without making a big mess of everything. With that all cut away, I added new trim. This will get painted later. Once the trim is attached, I set up my template for mounting the rails. Now all I have to do is hold the rail up against the side of the template and attach it with some screws. Now I can just remove the template, and I should have perfectly square rails for the door to slide into. Everything fits well and the door slides pretty nice. The top of the rails extend past the new trim that I added, but I can use the old trim pieces behind the rails to give them something to attach to. Now I just attach the control box and connect the string to the door. The control box has a thin string used to lift and lower the door. The door is really light, so that's fine. But I didn't want to put the string through the hole that I drilled in the aluminum, since it may have some sharp edges and could eventually wear through the string. So I used a short length of wire and an S-hook. Hopefully that'll do the trick. Everything's installed. Now I just need to paint it. So I tape it off and pull out the black paint again. Once the paint is dry, I remove the tape and we're done. The door is in and we no longer have to manually open and close the door for the chickens anymore. The control box has a light sensor on it, and you can set it to open and close with the daylight cycle, or you can set it on a timer and have it open at specified times. For us, we're using the daylight sensor. If we use the timer, we'd have to alter it in the fall when it starts getting dark earlier, and then again in the spring when the days start getting longer. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I've done some big upgrades to the coop recently. I changed out their old dirty roost with this new chicken ladder. I also added these PVC feeders. These are much closer to where we keep the feed and make it a lot easier when it's feeding time. They also hold a lot more than the old system, so we don't have to feed as often. And I have some ideas to make them even better when the SnapMaker 3D printer arrives. There'll be a video on that as soon as it gets here. And my favorite new addition is the rain barrel watering system. This is completely hands-off. We don't need to do anything for it for most of the year. When it gets cold, we do have to use a heated waterer, but the rest of the year, the rain barrel will do the job. There's a video for all these changes if you want to go watch that. I'll add a link on screen. And thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.